just like anything successful, anytime you want to make a living and good money and build a business, is that it's just brick by brick. There's no fast track unless you come across and win a massive amount of money and put it to work. But there's no fast track. It's building relationships. It's finding the right team. And just, we have a saying within our group, it's just move the needle every day.
If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button and click subscribe. For those of you listening on a podcast platform, be sure to subscribe on whatever platform that is and leave us a rating if you can. The more likes, ratings, and subscriptions that we get, the more we can spread the message and grow our community. So we also have a free Facebook group. It's called The Average Joe Finances Network. Check us out, join the group, join the community, ask questions, and become a part of the team. All of our other social media accounts are listed in our flow page, and we have them in the video or podcast description below. What's going on, everybody? So today's guest is Brandon Magierowski, and he's a native of Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. He came to Shreveport, Louisiana back in 2004 to join the LSU Shreveport Pilots baseball program. After 3 years with the Pilots, Brandon graduated with a bachelor's degree in general business administration. In 2008, Brandon joined the Prairie Baseball Academy, it's a junior college, as an assistant coach before returning to the LSU baseball program in 2010 as the graduate assistant coach. Brandon's coaching position with the Pilots ended in 2011 after Brandon graduated with his master's degree in business administration. In the spring of 2013, Brandon turned his attention to hosting baseball tournaments in the Deep South region to provide players a better opportunity for exposure to next-level recruiters. In 2014, Brandon aided in the creation of Diamond Dynasty 2D Sports. Since inception, the company has grown over 25% year after year and now hosts over 100 events per year. Brandon is an active partner in Real Focus Capital Investments, a co-host of the Gorilla State podcast, and currently owns several multifamily properties in Louisiana. He is a graduate of the Multifamily University, a member of Multifamily University Investor Group, and leads the Multifamily Mastermind 318 meetup group in North Louisiana. So Brandon, absolutely awesome background. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks, Mike. Happy to be here.
All right, awesome. So the first thing I'd like to talk about, or I guess elaborate a little more on, is your background. And this is the way I like to start every podcast episode. So if you could, besides the bio that I just gave, could you share a little bit more about yourself and how did this all get started for you? What's your story?
Yeah, so back in 2004, I was playing junior college baseball up in Canada, and my dream was to come down to the States to play college baseball, and I was lucky to get recruited down to LSU Shreveport and played 3 years at LSU Shreveport. In that process, I met what is my wife now. We moved back to Canada for a couple of years, and then I got offered the graduate assistant job to come back and coach at my alma mater, LSU Shreveport. And the nice thing about that when you come back is they pay for your master's degree. So I was coaching college baseball, which was my passion. And alongside that, I was getting a free education. 2 years after that, after I completed my graduate assistant, I graduated with my master's degree. And at that point, I kind of knew that maybe college baseball, the coaching of college baseball was not the route I wanted to take. I wanted to have an opportunity to provide more for my family. I'm a huge entrepreneur. I thought I could start a business and really provide more for my family year after year after year than what college coaching would give me. So I met a guy in Louisiana who was running baseball tournaments, high school baseball tournaments. Louisiana is running about three of them. And I said, I'd like to help you with those tournaments. Long story short, we went from running 3 tournaments 7 years ago to over 150 per year to date. I'm actually, like you said, I'm in a hotel room right now in Memphis, Tennessee. We have over 250 teams coming to play with us this coming weekend across the Southeast, and we are in the heart of our baseball season. Along that route in baseball, I met Ramsey Blankenship, who is now my partner with Real Focus Capital. We invest in apartment complexes, mainly on the I-10 corridor between Mobile and Jacksonville, Florida. How I got into real estate, Ramsey and I were doing baseball tournaments together, and Ramsey was bragging about, how great he was at real estate in Panama City and all these properties he had and all this cash flow that was coming in. And I was just like, I just kept listening to it. And I was finally like, how the hell are you doing this? Like, I love real estate. I've made some money off my residential houses on accident. But how are you buying these properties and renovating them and creating this cash flow and this mailbox money that everybody talks about? And he started to kind of teach me little by little each year about how he was doing it. He gave me a couple of books to read, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a couple other investing books. I read them. I said, okay, I want to do this. This is what I want to do, Ramsey. I love the baseball business we have going on, but I can do this on the side. This would be a great side hustle for me to get a couple of properties and have some cash flow and get my foot in the door in real estate. So he said, all right, where do you live? Wherever you live, you probably should buy your first property where you live. Fast forward 4 years, that was a huge mistake, but I'll have to get into the weeds on that. So we bought a 6-unit apartment complex and a triplex, a 3-unit in Shreveport, Louisiana. That was 4 years ago. I self-managed the properties for about a year, and then I ended up having another kid, and we turned the properties over to a property management group. We still hold those properties today. But the whole deal was it was going to be a 50-50 split with Ramsey, but I was going to do the properties were in my backyard. So I did all the work on the properties, negotiated the deal, did the property management, found the property group. And along the way, Ramsey was just giving me little nuggets of information on how to do that properly. So that was 4 years ago. About 3 years into owning those properties, they were not performing like they underwrote. So we underwrote them to perform and probably cash flow about $500-600 a month, but that wasn't happening. They were breaking even. Sometimes we were losing money each month. So we said, what did we do wrong? Because Ramsey's properties in Panama City were cash flowing like crazy. And he used the exact same formula. He gave me the underwriting. He gave me his criteria. We bought the properties in Shreveport. It was the same deal. Cookie cut it from Panama City, put it in Shreveport. They should cash flow. Well, what we made the mistake was we didn't do, and we didn't know how to do the proper market research to make sure that Shreveport was a viable market to invest in, especially when you're doing larger 3-unit and 6-unit complexes. And then we saw a guy on YouTube named Neil Bawa, and Neil Bawa was doing a presentation on market research, how to use data from the internet, free data, to find the best markets to invest in. And in this presentation, about 45 minutes in, he started going through the list that he compiled of cities throughout the United States using the data. And guess what city landed as the worst city to invest in multifamily?
Maybe Shreveport.
Shreveport. And Ramsey and I looked at each other and said, we're going to this guy's conference. So we went to his boot camp in San Diego, California, a year and a half ago. We spent, I don't know, it was probably $2,000 each, $2,500 each. I can't remember, but it was 2.5 days of really learning the ins and outs of syndicating apartments, going after bigger properties, pooling investor money together to buy these bigger assets. But mostly, I wanted to learn, why not Shreveport and why these other cities, and how do you compete in these other cities? So we walked out of that. The light bulb went off that weekend that syndicating apartments was what we wanted to do. So we started building our team. We grabbed a guy named Joey Bickham out of Panama City. Joey's 15 years in the Navy under project management. Then we just recently picked up another partner in Shreveport named Chris Kuhneman. Chris is a entrepreneur. He runs a home inspection company, but he's been an LP on 6 or 7 deals. He went through the Brad Sumrock mentorship program out of Dallas. So he's got 6 or 7 years experience. And since we built that team, we just recently closed on a 10-unit deal in Panama City. We're closing on an 8-unit hotel down in South Louisiana. And we just got brought in on a larger deal in Texas that really is just on the ground floor as of yesterday. So hopefully by the time this podcast come out, we can talk a little bit more about that deal. So that's long-winded, but that's kind of the background of how I went through, college baseball, the coaching, to building a baseball business, meeting a partner, providing some sort of, trying to ask for some mentorship from him buying the properties in Shreveport and learning the mistakes from our mistakes in Shreveport and fixing them, building a team on the syndication side. And here we are today.
Right on, man. What a story. What a way to get started. So you guys met, it was at a baseball tournament, right?
Yeah, he's a partner in the baseball business. So there's 5 partners in the baseball business. He was one of them. His brother is a big baseball guy, and me and his brother kind of started the company together. And Ramsey was a really, really good business mind because of his experience in the Navy. So he was brought on board, and we just met through tournaments, running them together, and kind of hit it off with we're just kind of like-minded, like-hearted, have fun together. But we kind of know that real estate is our end game. This is what we want to do, because he's got about 6 years left in the Navy, could be 5 when he retires, and he wants to go full time as an apartment syndicator. So we're just building the blocks right now over the next 5 years to gain momentum, so that when he does retire, we hit the ground running.
Yeah, for sure. I'm doing something very similar right now. Prepping for my retirement from the Navy here shortly myself. So when you approached Ramsey, like how did that conversation go? How did you initially, so you heard him talking about all this stuff with real estate, it piqued your interest. How did you approach him to say, hey, I want to join your team, or I want to invest with you? Like how did that go?
Yeah. So like I said, he was, bragging about his Panama City properties and real estate. He read a bunch of books when he was on deployment, and he loves real estate. And I read business books too. And I was reading, all the millionaires in the world are in real estate, mailbox money, cash flow, this, that, and the other. And right now, all my eggs were in one basket. It was the baseball business. So, and it's going really well. We're growing 25% year after year, gaining events, gaining revenue, bringing on new employees. But, you have to diversify yourself on the business side as well. You've got to have side hustles and different branches to build off that tree. Because if the baseball business ever failed, I have nothing to fall back on. There's no income coming in. Now I got to get the 9-to-5 job that I've dreaded for my entire life. Don't want to do that. So I said, I'm reading these books. Everyone's telling me to get into real estate. I don't know how, but I've got a guy in front of me that does know how. And I was fortunate enough that Ramsey kind of took me under his wing and taught me that, this is how you do it. We made some mistakes in Shreveport, but, Ramsey and I chalked that up as, the junior college education of investing. Is not every deal is going to go perfect. We've learned a ton off of that deal. But again, I did everything for those deals. Ramsey basically just kind of steered the ship a little bit and gave me information and kind of let me go as a mentor. But he got 50% of that deal when I was doing, 80% of the work on site in my backyard. And that's kind of how, I kind of proved myself to Ramsey to go, it was kind of maybe a test for him to see if, was Brandon for real? He sent me 2 books. I read them in a week. He said, let's buy some properties. We closed on them in 2 months. We moved fast, but I think it was a test. Ramsey was testing to see, is this guy for real? And is this guy someone I can bring on my team for the long term? And like I said, fast forward 5 years, we're growing along with 2 other partners, something that I think is going to be really, really special.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think another part of, what happened in Shreveport, right? It was definitely a learning experience for the 2 of you. But at the same time, what that's going to turn into value-wise in the long run is going to pay off so much more than what you guys lost, or, when you were breaking even or even losing money. It's going to pay back in droves because of the experience that you've learned from it. So that value that it added to the 2 of you is knowledge, and that knowledge you could turn around and take that into the future. It kind of pushed you too to go check out Neil Bawa, right, and go check out his boot camp. You weren't afraid to shell out a little cash to go learn, multifamily real estate and go do his boot camp. So I think that's another part of, what people mix things up is, sure, you could probably just jump right into it, but if you do, you're going to have some painful learning experiences too. I also learned the hard way with buying some property back in Virginia, and it was a painful experience, but I got through it, and I think it made me better. So, the the key thing is just making sure that if this is something you want to do, that you're educating yourself and with the right education and getting yourself hooked up with the right people to build the right team. And I think that was something that Ramsey and I talked a lot about, was when everything came together for the organization and for your team. It was because of the team. It was everybody that was involved. It wasn't just one singular person. And I think that's the other thing too, is you don't want to go in it alone. You want to build a good team.
You want to bring teammates on that complement you too. Like, I have strengths
for sure,
and I have weaknesses. Ramsey has strengths and weaknesses, but my weaknesses are his strengths and vice versa. And Joey's the same way. It's project management on construction. I mean, that's not me. That's Joey. Joey's unbelievable at it. But just to backtrack on what you're talking about in the Shreveport property, sometimes I think about, what if Shreveport would have went perfect for us and we cash flowed and it was great and everything was awesome. I don't know if we would have ever went to the Neil Bawa boot camp. I don't know if we would have ever said, let's syndicate apartments. And so I think why Ramsey and I talk so much about Shreveport, and you think, we put it down and we laugh about it, but in reality, it paved the path for us. That mistake paved the path for us to get into bigger deals and bring on new teammates, learn our lessons, spend some money on education, and look where it's gotten us today. And we just keep growing day after day after day. And just to all the other syndicators and investors out there, from the smallest level to the biggest level, is don't be afraid to talk about your mistakes. So many times, you see on social media and LinkedIn and Facebook about, this deal's closed and this is the greatest thing ever, and I'm making this and everything's so phenomenal. Nobody ever posts on there, man, I made a terrible investment. These are the mistakes I made. This is how much money I lost. And I don't know, it's because they're just trying to promote greatness amongst themselves. But Ramsey and I are not afraid to talk about the mistakes we made in Shreveport, because those mistakes, we will not make them again. We will not make them again. And they led us to a path to where we're at today, where we're going to do bigger and bigger deals every single year.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Again, like I was saying before, it's the value that those mistakes and lessons learned that you got is worth more than any type of cash flow that you can get, because it's going to earn you some more cash flow into the future. So the next question I'd like to ask you then, so you live in Shreveport still, right?
I do, yeah.
And you travel all over for the baseball tournaments. You're in Tennessee right now. So where are you currently investing? What markets are you in right now?
So we love the panhandle of Florida, which is the I-10 corridor, Mobile across to Jacksonville. And Joey lives in Panama City. Ramsey owns property in Panama City. We have a construction team. We have a property manager in Panama City. So that whole corridor, Joey can reach it in his car. The other markets that we're really looking at is the East Texas market, because Chris and I live in Shreveport. It's 2-3 hours away. Texas is super competitive. But we've decided, we want to focus specifically on 2 locations that are within reach of us. I wish Shreveport was the greatest market to invest in, because we could make a killing here, because it's in our backyard. It's easy, just like Joey in Panama City, but it's not reality. And another thing, we're not, my family's not moving from Shreveport. I mean, we have kids, my wife's family's here. Everything's great. We got a lot of support. We're not going to move. We're not going to invest here. So what are the markets we're looking at? So we took those data points, those data metrics, we ran them, what's reachable to us via vehicle, and we ran the data points that we learned about markets, and we found the markets we wanted to invest in. And so far, like I said, we just closed on the 10 unit in Panama City. We've got an 8 unit in South Louisiana, and we've got a deal in the pipeline in Lubbock, Texas.
Fantastic. All right. So when you're scoping out these deals in like these 2 specific areas that you're looking at, how do you know what's a good deal? What type of data are you looking at?
So you're talking about for the market or the property itself?
Well, both actually. So I know you have to do your due diligence on each property you go look at, but how do you know which market or area in like that specific town is going to be a good spot for you guys to go look at apartments? So how do you pick out which ones you want to go and make an offer on?
The first thing we did, we started developing relationships with the brokers in those areas and the agents. And the way we did that is we built some credibility through our branding, through our website, places that they could go look us up. So you call a broker, hey man, I'm Brandon. These are the deals we're looking for. 50 to 100 units, 1975 vintage. We're looking for Class B and C, a little light value add. And they're going to go, okay, great. Who are you? And what we did is we backed that up with some nice branding, a website, really set it up for them to go, okay, these guys, they're a legitimate group. They're not just tire kickers that are just calling me and wasting my time. So that took us, 3 or 4 months to build those relationships. So we started getting deal flow in. When you say the I-10 corridor, there's a lot of cities along the I-10 corridor, right? Mobile, Pensacola, Panama City, Jacksonville, Tallahassee. And inside those cities, there's submarkets that you have to analyze as well. So just because the city meets the metrics, there's certainly, this, you can talk about your own city you live in. There's good parts and there's bad parts. And without being boots on the ground in those cities, you have to find a way to figure out, get information from the broker, but also look at the data. And the data we use it's free data from the internet that just monitors the population growth, median household income, median household value, the crime rate, and the job growth. Those are the 5 data points that we're looking at. We're looking for certain trends over the past 20 years. And for us, really, the 3 drivers for us is the population growth, the job growth, and the decline in crime rate. That's what's going to hit. And then the other 2 are just bonus metrics that we put into our spreadsheets. So we'll get a deal within a city. First, we're going to look at the deal and make sure that it meets our criteria that we're looking for. And then we're going to look at the submarkets it's in. If that submarket meets our metrics, then we're going to dive into the underwriting on the deal. We're going to do a quick 10-minute analysis, see where the price point's at based on the cap rate. And then if that passes, then we're going to go into deep dive underwriting, come up with an offer, ask the broker some questions, go back and forth, submit an LOI. That's kind of the process we take.
Right on. Yeah, it sounds like a very good process, and you have a lot of, I guess, stop gaps in there too to know when you're going to move forward and when you're going to back out. So
yeah, so let me just touch on that, because early on, you start getting deal flow, you get super excited, and every deal you think is the deal. So you spend hours on that deal, and you get another one, and all of a sudden you got all this deal flow coming, and there's no way to filter it out. So we set up procedures within our group to say, if you get a deal sent to you, do not send it to anybody else until it passes A and B. And if it doesn't pass A and B, just reply to the broker and say, hey, this is just not our deal because of this. If it passes A and B, it goes to step C, which goes to our underwriter. He underwrites it and goes back to the team. And that's how we started vetting our deals. But early on, we made some mistakes and we're overwhelmed because we thought every deal that came across our table was the deal.
Right. Yeah, this is a good way to save some time too with your underwriting, right? So you're not underwriting every single deal that comes across your desk. You have, if it doesn't pass the sniff test, it's not going any further.
That's right.
Right. Awesome. Okay. So was it strictly going to the Neil Bawa conference that made you decide to get into multifamily, or did you know for sure, like as soon as you were working with Ramsey, that multifamily was the way to go instead of like doing maybe single family homes?
Yeah. So from day one, Ramsey was all about multifamily. And that's what he taught me from the very beginning. Basically, don't mess with single family, multifamily. That's why we bought the 3-unit and then the 6-unit and not any single family stuff. And then from there, it just, you drive by these apartments and these bigger complexes and just look at them and say, how the hell are people buying these? Like, how is this done? There's no way someone's just stroking a check for $46 million to get the deal. So, your wheels start turning and you want to get bigger than 6 units and bigger than 8 units. You want to buy 20, 30 and get up to 200 units. And that's why we went to the conference and we spent some money on the education to say, number one, how do you do it? And number two, is this realistic for us to do as W-2 employees? We came back from the conference and it was information overload. You're excited as can be. And then you dial it back and go, okay, how much time do I have to commit to this? My W-2 is my job. That's what I do. That's how I make money for my family. And this real estate is my passion and side hustle. How much time can I put into it? And is that enough time to be able to syndicate apartments? And if it's not, dial it back a little bit and say, okay, how much time do I have and what can I accomplish within that time frame?
Right on. Yeah, that's I think that's another aspect that people don't really look at too, is the time commitment it takes, especially when you guys are having deal flow. The time commitment it takes to actually sit here and analyze those deals. Is it going to overflow into your W-2 job, or are you okay with having some late nights, making sure you do proper due diligence and not just jumping into something because you rushed it, right? So that's a great point, because there's a lot of people that listen to this show, and myself included, who are W-2 employees right now and are investing in real estate, and they want to take it to that next level, to that next step, and get into multifamily, and they're just not sure where to start. So I think some of the things we're getting out of this conversation right here is, number one, education; two, build an awesome team, people that complement people that could pick up on your weaknesses and you can pick up on their weaknesses. And then three is finding the right market. And then four, making sure you have the right time commitment that you can provide to be involved in something like this. Now, let's say somebody wants to get into multifamily real estate and they just don't have the time to commit. They're a busy working professional. They have some money they want to invest, but they don't have the time to come in and be a general partner. What else could they do? Let's take a brief moment to hear from our show sponsors. What's going on, everybody? So today I want to talk to you about the podcast editing service that we use for the Average Joe Finances podcast. That is editpods.com. And what I really like about them is it's a subscription-based service, so the prices are fantastic. And not only do they do the podcast episodes for us, but they also make us videos, audiograms, social media caption videos. They do our show notes, thumbnails. It's just fantastic products. Go check them out at editpods.com. What's going on, everybody? So today I want to talk to you about Buzzsprout. The Average Joe Finances podcast recently switched over to Buzzsprout, and I got to say, I am super happy with the progress. Our podcast is now on every single major platform and reaching audiences that we couldn't reach before, which is just super awesome. So thank you to Buzzsprout for being such a great platform. But also I want to say, hey guys, if you sign up for Buzzsprout and you sign up for one of their paid plans using our link, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. So go check them out. It's averagejoefinances.com/Buzzsprout, and we'll make sure the link is in the show notes below. Let's get back to today's episode.
Well, that's where you come in as a limited partner on these deals, which is how these apartment complexes are purchased. There's a general partnership group, which basically leads the ship. They're running the business. They're creating the business plan. They're going out and finding the deal, negotiating it, getting under contract, and they come back to these busy professionals that have additional capital sitting in the bank account, making 1% interest, fighting against inflation. That money needs to get to work, but they don't have the time to go vet the deals or negotiate with the broker or do the underwriting. So we bring the deal to them and say, hey, here's an opportunity to put your money to work as a passive investor. You give the money, you put your feet on the desk, and you get your returns. And these returns that we're looking at are, you're looking at 10 to 12% cash on cash returns, 15% IRR, basically doubling your money in 5 to 6 years, plus all the tax advantages. And that's why these busy professionals that are super successful in real estate are just getting in on the passive side, finding a GP group that you trust, looking at their track record, seeing who the partner GP are on that deal, and saying, if I give them 50,000, I know it's going to be protected. And I'm more oftentimes than not, they're going to hit their returns that they're promising. So that's how you do it. If you're a busy professional and you have capital sitting in the bank, put it to work on the limited partner side. And there are hundreds of solid GP groups around the country putting deals together, and they are looking for you.
Right on. Yeah, and that's part of your job as a limited partner, is to do your due diligence on the group you're going to go in with. Right, no doubt. Making sure that you look at their history and understand what they've done, what their experience is. So that's all fantastic advice. Really appreciate that. So now for you guys, you currently, you said you have a hotel under contract right now, right? Or is it already? Did you guys close on that yet?
We close on June the 11th.
That is fantastic.
2 weeks. We closed on the 10-unit. The 10-unit deal was a cash deal, right? That it hit our inbox at 1 p.m. We had an offer in that day at 5. Best and final was due the following day at 5. We ended up paying $50,000 over asking to get the deal as a cash deal, and it's going to be the BRRRR strategy.
Right.
We bought it cash. We're going to go in. There's 5 units down to the studs. We're going to go in, refinance to a construction loan, fix up the 5 units, get them all rented, refi into a long-term, get our capital back out. The 8-unit hotel was actually a true off-market deal. Ramsey, family friend, wife and husband owned a 8-unit hotel. It used to be a bank. They converted it into an 8-unit hotel, really unique property. I mean, turnkey, Class A, no CapEx, no rehab needed. Her husband passed. She doesn't want to deal with it anymore. And she brought the deal to Ramsey because she knows Ramsey and trusts Ramsey. And Ramsey negotiated it. We're getting in at a very, very good price. 8 units close in a couple of weeks. So yeah, within a matter of a month, we've just added 18 units to our portfolio.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, are you guys planning to keep it a hotel, or are you going to convert it into an apartment? What's the deal with that?
So the plan is to convert probably 2 units to Airbnb short term and keep 6 units and just test the process, try to bring a younger crowd into the Airbnb units, test that out for 6 months. If it's super successful, we'll convert 2 more units and have half and half. With that hotel, there's a lot of 40 plus people that come to the small town that are looking for that hometown feel. They've been going there for years. We don't want to just strip that away from them and give them a key code with no hospitality and say, hey, have fun. So we're going to go in with a little bit of a hybrid strategy. Okay,
right on. So you guys have like a team on site that, like turn down services and things like that for the right now?
There's a property manager that's been running that property since they converted it 10 years ago, I believe it was.
Oh, wow.
So she's born and raised in the city. She knows the entire history of the city. She's a phenomenal person. And she's already provided several ideas on how to cut expenses, improve processes, become more efficient. Because right now we're looking at if we can cut the expenses by 20% and increase occupancy by 5%, it'll be a cash flowing machine. And that's very executable. So we're going to keep the current property manager in place because I think she's kind of the icing on the cake on that property.
Okay, right on. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good win right there. So good deal, man.
And back to the team. We set it up. There's 4 people in that deal as a JV, and back to building the team and building up each other's strengths. Ramsey's project lead. So Ramsey's going to take the vision, implement the Airbnb, the decor, the processes, and I'm going to come in on the back end and implement all the administration requirements to have that property performing. The other 2 partners are basically voting rights. They live far away. They check in on the property here and there. So that's, again, we found a team that can complement each other to execute that property.
No, that's phenomenal. I mean, that's the right way to do it. Like I like the way, when you explained earlier, like when you have somebody that can pick up where you're weak, and then you can pick up where they're weak and just, kind of cover each other's, you're covering each other's backs. And when you have a relationship like that, where you can trust each other like that, it just makes it, flow so much better, and builds a really good cohesive team. And that's, back to the whole point of why it's important to have such a good team, especially when you're investing in larger multifamily, assets.
Accountability and trust is huge.
Absolutely.
And with Ramsey's experience in the Navy, Joey's experience in the Navy, my experience in sports and collegiate baseball,
and running
a business, we've all interacted with different people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different personalities for the last 10 years. So we were able to vet each other out to say, okay, yeah, this person's really skilled, but more importantly, does he fit in with this team? Can he contribute, but can we trust him? Can he be held accountable? Is he going to hold me accountable? So it's more than just a skill set. It's really finding a bond amongst that team that's going to last forever. And that's it's very difficult to find. It really is.
Yeah, for sure. And again, though, you found those individuals that you can trust, right? And that's like the key part. But speaking of assets, I want to ask you, for you personally, Are there any other asset classes that you personally currently invest in? So besides real estate, are you involved in anything in like the stock market? You got some crypto, or are you like a Doge head? Like what's going on over there?
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I sat down with my financial advisor and said, I want to take all my money out of this Roth IRA and I want to put it into a brokerage account because I want to start buying stocks. Because this was almost just pre-COVID, I think, when things started to really dive. I just told him, I said, back in 2008, I mean, I don't know how old I was. I don't know, 20. I didn't have any money to invest, but I said, I don't want to miss out. If there's a dive right now, I don't want to miss it. I want to get my money to work other than just a Roth IRA. So we converted it all to a brokerage account. So I invested there. I pulled some money into a Robinhood account. I started investing, playing around, kind of some play money, playing with the stock market. And then recently I invested in crypto as well. So I play both the stock market, crypto, and real estate.
What cryptos are you invested in?
So I have Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then I played with Dogecoin for I was playing around for about 6 months, buying and selling.
Well, at least you said it the right way. You said you were playing around with it because
yeah, I was playing.
That was one of those. It drove me nuts with the way that whole thing went. But at least Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stuff like that. Those are like legit.
Yeah, with Doge, I was buying a few $100 at 20 cents, and then got to 44 and sell it, and then I went back down and did it again. I don't know. I probably made a couple $1,000s, but I was like, that's better than it just sitting in the bank account doing nothing.
Yeah, that works. Crypto is one of those things I just don't know enough about it. I know blockchain is really great, especially when it comes to data. And I'm hopefully going to have somebody on here soon that can talk smartly about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, because I've been talking back and forth with somebody on Facebook, and I'm trying to get him on the show. So we'll see how that goes. But he's very knowledgeable about the stuff, and I'm pretty sure there's some people that listen to the show that want to get involved in crypto. I'm not the guy that really knows too much about it. So
you got some money. You got some money in crypto, Mike?
Okay, so I have one cryptocurrency right now, and it's only because I get paid in it. So I was approached by a group that asked me if I'd like to host my podcast on, their website, and I put it up there, and they say, hey, it's a voting system, and if people vote for your episodes, you get paid in this thing called Hivecoin. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I just checked. I went up on there, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the last I checked, my last episode made me $30 worth of this Hivecoin, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty neat. So that's about the gist of crypto that I'm in. Now, a couple of years ago, back when I was still living in Virginia Beach, I had some Bitcoin, and I had some Litecoin, and I had some Ethereum. I sold it all many years ago. Back when Bitcoin went up to 19,000 and then dropped back down to like 9, that's when I sold it. So
that's what it's doing now. I think it was up to like 55, down to 30. I'm just going to let it sit. I don't, like I said, it's not a ton of capital I have in there. It's just some to diversify myself.
Yeah, for sure.
If it goes up like they're all saying it's going to, then great. If it doesn't, well, hopefully the money I put in real estate or the other stocks will make up for it.
Yeah, for sure. I actually interviewed a guy the other day who is a day trader, and that was a very interesting conversation. So I'm looking forward to that episode coming out here in a little bit. It'll be out maybe right before yours, because I just interviewed him a few days ago. But anyway, the interesting thing is how there's so many different options when you're in the stock market, and that's actually one of the things we talked about was options. I don't do that because, again, that's something I don't know too much about, and I don't have the time to sit down and day trade because of my day job. So I've been more like, when it comes to the stock market, playing it safe, and I invest, more for long-term holds. I invest in a lot of dividend-paying assets, real estate investment trusts, things like that. But so far, my portfolio this year is up 28.7% or something like that. So I'm pretty happy with where that's at, and I'm just going to leave it alone.
No, that's it. That's my strategy. I don't know enough about day trading and the stock market to do it day after day. I'm looking more for stable stocks that, bigger companies that I can just put my money to work and let it go until, 20, 25 years from now.
No, you're doing it right, though. You're doing it right. And you have diversification, which is super important. So you're not just strictly in real estate. Now, there's some people that are strictly in real estate, and that's okay, because the beautiful part about being in real estate, especially multifamily, and you're investing in all these different areas, is each apartment complex that you invest in is its own asset, has its own numbers that work for it. Each thing can be different. So it's not always the same with every single deal. And that's one of the beautiful things about it is you're not always going to get the same rate of return. You can do better on one property than the other. So even if you are strictly just in real estate, there's a way to keep yourself diversified when you're investing in different units. Okay, well, so for our listeners here, do you have any last tips or tricks that you would recommend for somebody who's just wanting to get started in multifamily investing?
Yeah, be patient. Just understand that it's not going to happen overnight. Just like anything successful, anytime you want to make a living and good money and build a business, is that it's just brick by brick. You know, there's no fast track unless you come across and win a massive amount of money and put it to work. But there's no fast track. It's building relationships. It's finding the right team. And just, we have a saying within our group, it's just move the needle every day. You know, if you can just move it forward each day, that's going to compound and eventually things are going to click and deals are going to come and you'll be able to raise capital. But you have to have a long-term vision on things and everything. It's, kind of generation now, right? Like these days is I want it now. If I don't get it now, I'm going to quit. And that's why they refer to those people as tire kickers. You say you want to invest in real estate. You say you want to do multifamily, but you're not willing to put in the time and put in the long-term time it takes to execute it. We've been doing this for 4 years and our team has been built for a year and a half now. And we just closed on the 10-unit deal and things are really starting to compound, but there's going to be bumps in the road and just understand that this is a long game with relationships and with your team and with deals.
That is a fantastic tip. Patience. They always say, patience is a virtue. It's true because you can't just go jumping into something and diving into something because it seems like it's the right thing for you. You guys learned that lesson in Shreveport. I learned that lesson with a duplex I bought back in Virginia just because I wanted it so bad. I'm like, I'm going in right now. And it was a painful process and a learning process. So patience,
it's tough
I think
to,
that is a fantastic tip.
It's tough to keep the emotion out of it for your first
Absolutely.
deal too. Is, you want it so bad and you just want to put your money to work and you want to buy that deal. And I think that's kind of what happened in Shreveport. I was very, very engaged and really wanted it. And I just went and got the property. And looking back, I probably could have been a little bit more patient. But again, if I didn't do that and I didn't get that deal and make that mistake, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
For sure. Yeah. So, that's great, man. Where can people find more information about you, Brandon? So not only you, but your team. Do you have a website? Do you guys have any social media? Where can we learn more about you guys?
Yeah. So you can find us at realfocus.org. realfocus.org. You can reach me, Brandon, at realfocus.org, or you can text me directly, 318-639-7303. 639-7303. Hit me up if you're interested in learning anything about real estate business. Want to talk? Maybe you want to teach me something. I'm always open to new conversations.
Awesome. And you guys also have a podcast that's going to be launching here shortly, right?
We do. So it should be launched by the time this episode comes out. It's Grill Estate Podcast. It's a real estate investing podcast. Ramsey and I host separate episodes together, and we're going to be launching that here in the next couple of weeks. And that can be found on our website as well.
That's awesome. Looking forward to that coming out. I'm definitely going to be listening because, after talking with both you and Ramsey, you guys are really awesome. Definitely seems like you have a great team. And of course, being connected on social media, seeing what you guys are doing, I think it's going to be a fun podcast to listen to. So for my listeners, hey, go check it out, especially if you're interested in multifamily real estate. Real Estate Podcast is probably going to be a fun one to listen to. So make sure you guys check that out. Brandon, dude, absolutely fun conversation. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. And again, thank you so much for joining me today.
Good deal, Mike. Thanks, man. Enjoyed it.
All righty. Aloha. About you, Brandon. So not only you, but your team. Do you have a website? Do you guys have any social media? Where can we learn more about you guys?
Yeah, so you can find us at realfocus.org, realfocus.org. You can reach me, Brandon, at realfocus.org, or you can text me directly, 318-639-7303, 639-7303. Hit me up if you're interested in learning anything about real estate business, want to talk, maybe want to teach me something. I'm always open to new conversations.
Awesome. And you guys also have a podcast that's going to be launching here shortly, right?
We do. So it should be launched by the time this episode comes out. It's Grill Estate Podcast. It's a real estate investing podcast. Ramsey and I host separate episodes together, and we're going to be launching that here in the next couple of weeks. And that can be found on our website as well.
That's awesome. Looking forward to that coming out. I'm definitely going to be listening because, after talking with both you and Ramsey, you guys are really awesome. Definitely seems like you have a great team. And of course, being connected on social media, seeing what you guys are doing, I think it's going to be a fun podcast to listen to. So for my listeners, hey, go check it out, especially if you're interested in multifamily real estate. Real Estate Podcast is probably going to be a fun one to listen to. So make sure you guys check that out. Brandon, dude, absolutely fun conversation. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. And again, thank you so much for joining me today.
Good deal, Mike. Thanks, man. Enjoyed it.
All righty. Aloha.